Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you now to finally PHP, and you'll be thinking, what? Yes, you can use PHP also on websites, web pages. Now, PHP is different to JavaScript. JavaScript, it does calculations and processing on a client's computer. What that means is on your computer. You go on a website and all the processing is done on your machine. PHP, all the processing is done on the web server, the website server, the website's end. So what happens? Well, the difference is JavaScript, as I said, is slightly different in terms of how it's used by websites. So let's have a look at PHP. Right now, I'm going to highlight what's PHP and what's HTML. HTML, HTML, PHP. Now, why would you use PHP? What advantages does it have? So let's do our calculation again. Okay. So with the Fahrenheit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable. Okay, my computer is frozen, so I'm going to do it in Notepad. So let's just copy the code and let's change this to $ temperature Celsius, and we'll do this $ get square speech marks value. You could be doing this at the same time so that you are doing something. $temp f. I'll reveal what all of this means in a minute. I'm hoping you can understand what this line of code might do. What do you think echo does? Okay, so very similar to what we've done before. It's going to allow us to enter in a value. It's then going to take our value, what we've entered, and multiply it by 2, then add 30. It's then going to echo, which means print this line here, and then it's going to print this variable. Simple. Now, let me explain. This example has to be run by us entering in a value as a parameter. So what happens is this: when we run this PHP on our website, it will basically, imagine this is our home page and we call it index.php, not HTML because PHP file, so PHP. It will then add the value which we enter. So if I entered in 25, it will simply, in the website address, so here, it will simply have HTTP, let's imagine it's called index.com/ and what it will add to the URL is, or .php, let's do that. In fact, let's call it jamaicanchicken.com/home.php, and let's add value equals 25. We enter in 25 into our system, and what happens? It adds it to the URL. And what happens with that? It's very simple. It will then take this value, this extension, this value 25, and display it on our website. So it'll take the value and display it on our website. Now, what is really, really important for you to understand is this. PHP, if you're using it to program a website, has its own file. So let me explain. This is going to be saved as a PHP file. I'm going to call it calculation.php. This is not a HTML file, it's a PHP file. If I try and run this in a browser, it won't work. Now if I get my, let's imagine this is my home page. like a procedure, like a function, what we need to do is use code which will call the PHP file. Imagine it was like this. I call it calculation, so imagine it's like this. Like in Python. And what will happen is it will run the PHP file, it will do a calculation, and then it will display the results on my web page, on my HTML file. The reason why it keeps the value here is so it remembers to, when it transfers it from the PHP back to the web page, back to our home page, back to our index page. Now, why would developers use PHP over JavaScript? Now, here's the thing. It's slower than JavaScript because what you're having to do is transfer data from a client, which is us, to a server, back to the client again. So it's slower. But it's more powerful. Far more powerful than JavaScript. And it's mainly used, PHP, when you are interacting with a database. So let me give you an example. Let's imagine that I'm going to load up Netflix right now. And let's log on to my school account. All my account data is kept on a database. Everything I watch is kept on a database. All the films are kept on the database. But here's the thing. The database is kept on the server, on the web server. And it uses code called SQL to pull that data from the server onto my computer. So let's imagine that I'm going to search for Peppa Pig. What happened here was I'm on my client, it sent code to the server called SQL, spelled like this. It sent SQL code to the database, which is on the server, and it found Peppa Pig, which is then sent back to my computer again. So look, can you see? That's how it remembers to send it from the PHP to the HTML. There you go. So, PHP is used with database websites, and most websites these days use a database. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It basically stores all the data. We're going to be looking at databases another time, but what you need to be aware of right here, right now, right this minute, is that PHP is used for websites which use databases. It's slower than JavaScript, but more powerful when you're using databases.